Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to Soulfire Tarot for the month of February. My name is Steve. Thanks for being here. And with that, a little ding in. I have the Initiatory Golden Dawn Tarot deck. I will also later be drawing a sigil card from Teal Swan's The Blind Spot Oracle cards. All right. Let's see what's going on here this February. I know it's a little late in the month. Been quite busy starting this out, but hope this may still be of some value for you, Aquarius. Looks like there's some possible reevaluations, some possible setbacks going on with relationship to your material life here. You might be worried about some things, uncertain as some changes, maybe there's like a weather change, the nature of your life in your circumstance. But nevertheless, you still have these fruits, these things that you've helped in cultivating, that you've built for yourself. And even though some of the things might not exactly work out quite how we hope and misfortune may come, nevertheless, you're still in a position where you have resources to yourself. And continuing off that, we have the Eight of Wands here. Looks like you're trying to get somewhere, and you are determined. You may be aiming to overcome some obstacles. You might be having some special support right now in your life, and there may be people who can help support you, to give you structure, or this could also represent you kind of overcoming different obstacles to get to your destination or that which you seek to achieve right now. You might also just be in transit, and this could be something else further in the distance. As you see here in the background, there are these mountains, but notice the hands in particular upholding the scaffolding. It can go different ways. It could, in some ways, represent people trying to pull us down, to take out the foundation beneath us. But nevertheless, the prime energy represented in the imagery of this expression of the card is one of transcending obstacles in pursuit of your destination or goal to reach the mountaintop here. And there's vigor. So this might be suggesting to keep vigorous with whatever you're pursuing. It's an important time right now, especially when it's relating to this, where there may be setbacks or certain things didn't come to fruition quite as we want. When we stay focused with our goals, it can help us stay in pursuit of the things and offset the worries. Sometimes just getting things moving, being in motion, will help clarify things, so we're not just sitting here spending too much energy worrying about whatever kind of misfortune might have happened or what could come. What are we going to do? So I'm going to continue with that. I like to scan the energy to feel what one is resonating. Take a breath in with the spirit and let it come through. Yeah, so we have the Nine of Swords here. This is one of ruin, aftermath, grieving and loss, a battle. So there might have been something like this metaphorically happening in your life, and keep your head up though, but also give yourself space if you need to properly grieve, even if it's a significant life change. I think a lot of us in the West, especially at European descent, we, at least as I know it, grieving and death is something that is supposed to be solemn, and it's kind of cold. But really, grieving is a sacred thing. That's something I've learned from some Mayan teachings about really taking the time to honor our grief, because in a very beautiful kind of naturalistic way, our grief connects to our love, our joy, and our relationships with life. When we feel sorrow and grief for something that we loved that we've lost. Our grief, our tears, that emotional release in a kind of poetic way can be the tears to create the river, to help life flow again, so that ancestor or that thing, might be carried to the next world, right? If we think about, time is like an Ouroboros or like a tesseract, every when is every now in the nexus of the now, the diamond prism in the Om Mani Padme Hum. So let's see what that is about, though. Right off the top. Yeah, it looks like there was something that was being worked on. Something. I see this card as a combination of ingredients. Somebody who's standing over something that they've been working on and creating. We see this cauldron, the fire, the Four of Wands here. We see this woman standing over this cauldron, this fire, this altar of sorts, and these two hands that are combining forces. And the four, right? The force, right? It's a square, it's a foundation of some kind of creation in an alchemical sense here. So I wonder, Aquarius, yeah, it definitely seems like there's some setbacks here. Maybe something hasn't gone correctly for you, dear Aquarius. But that's okay, everything has value. Learning and growth in our life, it all serves the greater purpose of our experience as a soul. If we choose to see it that way, it can be empowering and help foster acceptance, peace of mind, and help enable us to let go, to embrace and go with the flow of life and the greater process of being. Yeah, I'm getting a card here. Part of my intention was this. It was guidance of, this might be suggesting to take refuge, take rest, regather your resources. This is an image of a wounded knight here with his lovely partner, a maiden perhaps, in the stronghold after some kind of battle. So this could be representing you may be in a phase or it would be wise to be in a state of being where you can recuperate and kind of regather your energy here. But where might this be leading? I see this underneath the Eight of Wands, this card of pursuit again. So perhaps even if you are putting energy towards whatever your goal or whatever your destination might be, make sure to give yourself the proper rest, to have the proper foundations, the proper restoration for yourself. This card could also be suggesting finding support once again for, wow, itchy beard. Finding support and partnership, whoever that may be. It could be our friends, could be our family, whatever our support network might be. And if you don't have that, you can find that in some way or another. And I know for some of us, myself included, it's difficult to ask for help. It's difficult to ask for support sometimes. Some of us we're conditioned and have led ways where we think we need to do everything by ourselves. But sometimes just opening up and reaching out and just being heard, just being listened, being seen without expectation can be so fundamentally empowering and really help us air our emotions, being able to be expressed and be listened to be seen, to be witnessed, all these different parts of ourselves, that when we authentically honor that, it can help in a kind of naturalistic, psychosomatic way, alchemically help bring things into balance. All right, let's look back and see kind of the greater context of the past of what's informing this month and this theme that's been emerging through these cards for you, Aquarius. Interesting. Yeah, so this is the Fool's Journey. You might have been starting something new. This might have been a new endeavor for you. And with that, with beginner's mind, there's a lot of wherewithal, to be a beginner, to be starting something new. There's a lot of unknowns on the path, but there's the grace of innocence, of not knowing and being open to the exposure of life, the experience to take in, and that is so valuable, to have experience truly. So good for you, those of you who have taken on a new endeavor or some new kind of venture in life. Yeah, and I'm seeing the Emperor. This might have to do with kind of like reclaiming your domain, being in a position where you are working on getting your foundations, you might have found a newfound kind of stability, or there was some kind of inner fortitude, some kind of inner structure that you have created and or found within yourself that is informing this current kind of time place. With the theme emerging through the cards, Emperor has everything kind of in its right place. He rules with a kind of measured approach. Everything is accounted for, and he has a great consolidated power. And he's standing over this goat. The goat gregariously has the ability to scale the mountain, and it can also be very directive towards what it is aiming for. It also has a kind of stalwart resilience as well when you think about it, living on the mountainside, scaling, cliffs, and, not really giving a flying F about what other things that people are doing. I'm just being a goat. I'm living my life. Oh, you want to come get me? Too bad. I climbed the mountain, a little bit too strong there on the mic. Alrighty, interesting. Now let's see kind of where some themes of how this might be trending towards the future for you, Aquarius, in this coming month. Heart in the middle. Yeah, we have the Three of Wands here. You might be entering or coming to a period perhaps of a kind of revisioning. And again, seeing this card here, the Four of Swords, right? Taking time to kind of reassess, gather your resources before making a decision, kind of gathering your energy here for whatever you're in pursuit of, and that which may be influencing how you're reevaluating the situation to get out of this potential miasma of like, oh, stinking apples failed. Maybe it was a goat that got your apples. I don't know. So yeah, we see here, this card kind of communicates. I'm feeling something about like dreaming, looking into this forest of night, the Three of Wands, right? This recreative potential of how you want to direct your will, direct your passion, direct your creative energy, So this is a fortunate time. It's good to be in a place of kind of gestating a dream or gathering ourselves and our resources. So, and following that, yeah, this might be in a process where we are working on being able to kind of influence a legacy to come into an abundance here, but there still may be more work to do. What would your life look like if you're in a place of luxury where you have more than enough, where you can give and you're truly resourced to be generous to give from the bounty that you have in life. We see here this woman looking luxurious with her roses, clipping one, presumably bringing it back to give to somebody or to adorn within a space of hers. So I see this in reverse, and it's, maybe also kind of a question about where obstacles might be in relationship to this primary upright energy of it. So take it as you may. Yeah, and the general theme here, I just drew the Ace of Swords upside down, and right away it kind of spoke to me that this is kind of a time of reevaluating and reorienting to get this sword upright, right? Getting your mind in order, getting the logistics taken care of, all the little details with the time that you have, but doing it in a way where you're not exhausting yourself, where you are coming to a place where you can seize this opportunity and hold this sword of power. We see what looks like a palm and an olive branch representing peace, prosperity, and this power to be able to wield this force, and a force for good in your life and the life of others. Yes, and for the last card, kind of drawing in the future potential here, I have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is definitely in a kind of confident, calm position with their resources. So once again, I think this theme is generally trending that you are working towards something and coming into a new kind of consolidated basis where you have security with relations to your material life, your abundance, your resources. And once again, we see this goat here working towards something. So I think you're ultimately in pursuit of that, and that is a good thing. Keep going at it, Aquarius. Now, I'll do a little ding just to cleanse the energy a bit. And we shall move to the blind spot cards. This is a deck developed by Teal Swan. She felt that with the tarot, sometimes it was not as adequate as she would hope to eliminate things within an individual's blind spot in relationship to a situation or the query. I like to think that these can help illuminate things within the unconscious or perhaps our shadow. So with that, gotta go back to it again. I lost it. We have the 9. Interesting design here, as all of them are. Yeah, this kind of is suggesting to me something about rearrangement in balance. You see some of these spheres connecting from the outside of the central sphere. Some moving in, some moving out, perhaps. Kind of a reorganization, perhaps bringing some things in and getting some things out here to get the order properly set up for the transmission of whatever this energy may be. So now, to read into the 9. Coping. Interesting. If you have drawn the sigil, you are currently coping. You are coping in a situation where you need to do something other than cope. To cope is to make a specific alteration mentally, emotionally, or physically so you can manage or adapt to something that is causing you stress. A coping mechanism is a specific procedure, process, or technique which manages or allows you to adapt to stress. Some examples of coping mechanisms are addictive behaviors like cutting, binge eating, smoking, gambling, denial, humor, attacking, regressing, overcompensation, humility, self-blaming, avoidance, dissociation, positive focus, escaping into movies, books, or imagination, intellectualization, distancing, disconnection, falling asleep, passive aggression, projection, repression, and substitution. Stress is serious business. Yeah. I'm sure all of us could relate to something like that. I feel like this is purpose towards holism, right? What is kind of going to serve our greater well-being and evolution. Let's continue. Stress is serious business. A human being cannot thrive in an atmosphere of stress. When a human being goes into a state of distress, well-being immediately declines, and so it is only natural that we should want to make a change to the situation as quickly as possible. But often the situation that is causing us distress cannot be eradicated. It is out of our control to eradicate the stressor, so we are forced to manage with it and adapt it to it. This is especially true in childhood, when we did not call the shots about our own life. The people around us did. Many of these coping mechanisms allow us to survive distressing circumstances in our lives so we can keep on living and expanding despite the stress. They benefit us in some way when they are invented, but over time we can see that the very coping mechanisms that benefited us are in fact the very things that are hurting us and the people around us. What once allowed for our expansion is now perhaps making our expansion impossible. When we grow up and find ourselves in situations that are absolutely changeable, where we do have the power to diminish or eradicate the stressors, we do not realize it. In accordance with the illusion of powerlessness we perceive in ourselves, we simply indulge immediately in our coping mechanisms instead of actually making positive change to our life. Something really to reflect on there. And again, how apt for the sigil. If you have drawn the sigil, the time has come to see that you are not actually making an improvement to your life relative to the situation. You need to make a change that actually changes the situation instead of continuing to cope with it. Because in this situation, as difficult as it may seem or be, you actually do have the power to make change to the entire situation, provided that you will first choose with your free will to stop coping with it. Amazing, Aquarius. How apt a time it is for you to adapt and make changes, so it sounds. Be well. You have the power within, Aquarius. Thank you. Please like and subscribe if you found this of value. And if you'd like to leave a comment, I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you.